Hi, I'm David, and I'm here to teach you how to make some kombucha today. So if you see in those grocery stores, those really lovely bottles of kombucha, of which we have one right here, generally cost $3, but in your home, it's actually pretty easy to make if we can simulate the right conditions, right? So to start, we have some basic things that are going to be helping our probiotics grow, because this is a life solution. So there's things that are living inside of this. All right, and to help that, lactobacillus or other kind of bacteria and the yeast that's growing there, which we call a SCOBY, symbiotic relationship of bacteria and yeast. You can look that up online. We want to outline a couple of steps today. All right, so first, kombucha, as you know, is made of water. So I have here 2 liters of water with an extra liter that we're going to boil for tea. All right, also some sugar. Something that the kombucha can help the kombucha grow. Organic cane sugar has all the nutrients and minerals that are involved in kombucha. So it's a really good way to help kombucha grow. And also black tea that provides other kind of vitamins, well, not vitamins, but just minerals that that can help kombucha like ferment and also develop a nice SCOBY. So just going over here, there's a couple of things, pieces of equipment as well. First, you need a brewing container, and you want one made of glass, preferably. As you can see, this is mine brought from home, and up here is flowing a pellicle that forms as the kombucha grows. It's sort of like a cellulose sort of mat that the yeast and the bacteria produce as it turns the solution of black tea and sugar into what we call fermented kombucha. And as you ferment, you can produce one thing called mango right here, as I show you, or a strawberry thing. So these are secondary fermentations. Hopefully I'll get to show you another video. But that's generally the setup you need to start growing kombucha. Other tools you need probably be a pot or a kettle. Have a pitcher. You can have a bunch of water in to help mix and tell those to dissolve sugars, some measuring cups, and also strainers to strain out the black tea. So to start, what we need to do is we need to boil the water. So I'm going to turn this on high and pour in our 1 liter of water. As you can see, I'm sort of making a mess here because pouring is really difficult. So I'll be right back with a towel. Great. And based on where the water is evaporating, I think I turned on the right boiler. All right. As the water boils, I'll explain what makes the kombucha work. So if you see over here, my kombucha has a little reading right here. You may want to get one of those kind of temperature gauges from Amazon or your local Walmart, just to take a look at what the temperature is. Kombucha survives in temperatures of 65 Fahrenheit to about 95 Fahrenheit. Anything above 85 Fahrenheit, it could be a little dangerous to the kombucha. And what you want to try to do is keep the temperature optimally between 75 and 85 degrees, or about anywhere in the 70s is fine. So I like to keep mine a little warmer because that's where I notice the kind of bacteria and yeast like to live. So that's generally the way I have that. In the winter months, especially here in Indiana, it can get a little cold. So it's a good idea to buy a heating mat, something you can wrap around it like a heating blanket, stick in your outlet to maintain that kind of optimal temperature. So just a couple of things and thoughts on how to, help your yeast survive and also help it produce the kind of kombucha that you want to drink. All right, so as we're heating, this water slowly comes to a boil. What you want to do is you want to use about anywhere from 4 to 8 tea bags. Generally, I like to use about 6 of them, so I'm gonna peel them right here. It's gonna be a little repetitive. You can definitely skip through this section if you would like to. So yeah, so you can see the kind of tea bags. All right, and you want to try to put them in when the solution is hot, so that you can make sure it dissolves as much of the nutrients and tea flavors into the kombucha as you can. So I'm just gonna put it right there. And so just to give you a little more context today about what we're making, this is the first fermentation, F1, of kombucha. First fermentation of the kombucha generally is about making sure the kombucha is ready for the second bottling so that you can have this ready to be able to make the kind of bottles and solutions over here, all right? And to make the second fermentation, you'll need other kind of things of fruit. But for today, we're just making this dark kombucha that you can put to be able to flavor the kind of kombuchas you want to drink. All right, now that I've finished peeling these, so water still hasn't come to warmth yet, so we're gonna take a little bit of time to do something else. All right, so thanks for taking a little break, and now back to the main star of the show, which is our water boiling. All right, so our water's starting to come to a boil. We have about 6 tea bags here. What you want to try to do is try to space them out a little bit. Or if you're like me, I use loose leaf tea, so that could be another good solution as long as you have some way of straining all this kind of stuff out. So just lower tea bags one by one. Ooh, there's a nice orange flavor in these. You can put them in the solution or get them tied like I do. And then that's another way to be able to let them steep for a little bit. So we're gonna let these tea bags steep for about 10 to 15 minutes as the water is boiling, just so that the water takes on the tea and to be able to create a nice tea that will give the minerals that the kombucha needs to grow. Once it starts to come to a boil, that's probably a good idea, and it's a time to just shut the water off. Because it doesn't need to be boiling to boil a tea, but at the same time, you just need the heat to be able to release the oils and essential elements from the leaves. All right, welcome back. So now we want to, as this tea is steeping, we want to add the sugar to be able to make sure the kombucha has something and the SCOBY has something to munch on, as it grows. So we're going to open this bag of sugar here. Again, if you can get cane sugar or organic cane sugar, that has all the kind of nutrients and minerals that the kombucha needs. So what we try to aim for is about 1/4 cup, all right, 1/4 cup per liter of water, all right? So basically, if we're adding about 3 liters of water for, to make a gallon of it, because you don't want to fill it up to the brim, as you can see with my containers over there. So what we want to try to do is add about 3/4 cups, so that for our 3 liters of water. And also it's sort of art, not a science. This doesn't have to be exact. So I may be adding a little too much, because this is a really big bag. 2, and I'm gonna underfill this one since the last cup was a little too much. All right. So the thing is, you can definitely get a ladle or something to be able to stir along, but that's not as important because we have hot water that will help dissolve the sugar in the flash. But it's not a bad idea to have a ladle, so I'm gonna get that. As with everything with kombucha, you want to try to make sure that you wash it with soap and water, just so that you don't contaminate, because who knows what's going on there. Kombucha's biggest enemy is mold. And to be able to prevent mold growth, what you want to do is you want to have some starter solution of kombucha, and also to clean everything down so you can decrease and minimize the risk of contamination. I'm going to wash it with soap and water really quickly. All right, so I'm going to stir it. Also, it might not be a bad idea to wash your hands, which I've done today, just before it, so nothing on your hands gets into the solution. As you can see, cold water doesn't dissolve really well, but we have tea. So first we want to take out the tea bags, because tea bags are no good in a brew. Now that we have let the tea sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, we should be good in terms of letting the tea extract the flavor so we can use it in the kombucha. You can use it for composting after taking out a stapler if you wish, but otherwise, you probably can make another cup of tea with this. Probably not 6-pack tea bags at once, but yeah, just an idea. Okay. You want to have a strainer of some sort, just so that, you know, if there's other kind of sediments that were in the tea, it doesn't go straight into your kombucha. Remember, kombucha's optimal temperature is from 75 to 85 degrees. The reason I had 2 liters of water here is because if you pour 1 boiling hot vat of water, it can help increase the temperature of kombucha for a little bit. So you can pour this directly onto into your container and pour the live culture into it, and so it will be at a temperature where it doesn't kill it. And if you can, clean along the way, because that's important. Also, it's a good idea to have a clear pitcher, just in case you want to see if all the sugar is dissolved. Like I am right now. Looks pretty good, but I'll give it another stir. All right. So we're arriving at the last part of making kombucha. And so now you have a really cool bottle of kombucha. You have some semi-lukewarm, like black tea with sugar. So now what you want to do is pour everything in. Pour about half of it because sometimes the sediment and also all the nutrients here, especially good yeast, can stay at the bottom of the bottle. So you want to give it a small shake just so that you can get everything out the bottom. And you can see it's sort of fizzy as well, like that's what kombucha is. So that, will happen in the second fermentation. First one, we're just focused on making it work. And for the last part of making a kombucha is to seal the top. So I have myself, besides me, a cloth, all right? So sometimes people use cheesecloth. I just like to use a towel because the purpose here is to make sure that air can escape the jar as the kombucha produces gases, but not to let other things like, say, aka mold and also fruit flies in because they like something that's sweet, like this. So what you want to do is put your cloth over the top and use rubber band. So I have different sizes here. Generally, you want to try to use one that will give you a nice tight seal and make sure you seal it up. All right, so sometimes you gotta work a little bit to just make sure you have a pretty good seal. Voila, you should be done. All right, so a couple of housekeeping tips on making a kombucha. First, again, make sure the temperature is optimal. If you need to buy a heat blanket, please do, just so that you can keep it from getting too cold. If it gets too warm, think about some ways of cooling your house down, because if your house is 85 degrees, that's really hot, and that's probably not a good way to go. So kombucha likes to live, again, optimal temperature is 70 to 85 degrees, and just a general good idea to try to keep it at those kind of temperatures. If it gets too cold, mold can grow. If it gets too warm, the bacteria inside the SCOBY, the symbiotic combination of yeast and bacteria, the bacteria will die. So you don't want to just be drinking straight yeast in the solution, because the bacteria is what gives it also its kind of yeasty goodness. So that's generally the couple of things to wrap up about how to make kombucha. Thank you for joining me. I'm David Ding, and this is how you make kombucha for a first fermentation.